Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President Csicsmádia, I'm very honored to be here to accompany Mr. Juvin, my friend Mr. Juvin, and to be here for the second time, for the third time, in fact, to your conference. Last time it was in a webinar, so I was seeing you. I was in my small house in the beautiful island of Corsica, watching Italy just in front of me. Now it's very fortunate that we are here together. Mr. Csicsmádia, I would just like to start to thank you very much for the invitation, for this brilliant initiative. And also when you make your speech, you refer to the European Founder Fathers. In fact, since July, I was elected president of the Jean Monnet Association, which is the historical association of the family and friends of Jean Monnet, who is managing the house of Jean Monnet, with the property of the European Parliament, by the way. And I like very much your reference, because in fact, the founder father of the European Union mentioned of course, Jean Monnet, Robert Schuman, famous Roger Schuman, who is considered by the church as a holy man, as you know, but also Konrad Adenauer, Alcide de Gasperi, Paul-Henri Spaak, and others. And they have a totally different vision of Europe compared to what it became. They have a vision of collegiality, they have a vision of subsidiarity, and they have a vision also of a Europe composed of nations with equal rights. No nation should be dominant than the others, whether it's bigger, whether it's small, or whatever. And now we see, what we have. In Europe we have centralization, we have bureaucratization, and we have politicization. So the question, I will just shortly try to give you some point, maybe technical point. So how we come to that? How we come to that situation? And this situation we saw the last day, it comes to a paroxysm when the European Commission is putting to the court the case of Hungary, the case of Poland, for very strange reason. Very strange reason, which has nothing to do with the values and the roots of the European Union. I can speak very frankly. I came for the first time in Brussels as a young student, as a young trainee, with full of hope, with full of love to the idea of Europe. Europe is my passion. I have European stars, the stars of the European flag in my eyes, and I couldn't imagine at that time, beginning of the 80s, that today the main topic of one European Council will be the question of LGBT rights or the gender issues. What have come to make such change in the European Union, which is there? Jean Monnet says always, we have to create harmony. Harmony among the nations, harmony among the people, among the women and men, we say today, in Europe. And now we are dividing them. How we came to that? I will just briefly explain that in my view, there is a progression. There is a progression of the bad in the development of the European Union in the last 30 years. This has, in my view, everybody can have a different position, start with the Maastricht Treaty. In the Maastricht Treaty, with the creation of the euro, might be a good thing for some other reason, we have started to establish a kind of control among the nations. And now it becomes much more severe, control about the deficit, control about the political economy. I remember when I came here in 2013 as president of the European Economic and Social Committee, and I met your Prime Minister, Mr. Orban. I was the unique president of European institution to visit Hungary, because during that time Hungary was hardly criticized by the European functionaries, by the European bureaucrats, because of its law concerning banking, concerning banking system. You remember that. And it was seen that, oh, Mr. Orban is doing something which is not correct. Each country has to develop its own policy to support business, support SMEs, support wealth, support the creation of jobs. And this has come to, for example, in 2014-15, when Greece has these difficulties, they have been under a kind of monitoring made by the IMF, by the European Central Bank, and by the European Commission. So they lost totally their sovereignty about pension right, about wage, about all the things. So I think this, from the economic sphere, this has developed to the so-called rule of law, and nobody knows what is the rule of law of what. There is no competence, and we don't create harmony, we create division. The second event which happened, and I will insist on that, is the Nice Treaty. The Nice Treaty was in 2001, has created inequality among the states, among the member states. And for the first time, because at that time we knew the big country, so-called big country, had 2 commissioners, they had a certain number of votes, and they had a certain number of seats in the European Parliament. And at that time, our Polish friends have thought that Poland, due to its size, will become a big country. But no, they decide no, Poland is not a big country. Poland has less seats, less voice than the other bigs. And among the big, they decide to give to Germany, because of the population, a little more seats than the others. So we have destroyed the principle of equity among the countries. Another thing, I will mention 2 things that maybe will seem to you as anecdotal, but I don't think so. For the first time in the Nice Treaty, they decide that the president of the Commission is no more what they call inter pares, primus inter pares, is no more just one commissioner among the others, and it was Jean Monnet's principle of collegiality. They decide that the president of the Commission will have more power. He will have the power to sack one commissioner. He will have the power to be a kind of head of state of the European Union. This was totally against the idea and the concept of a founder father. And I will add a small other one. Until the Nice Treaty, when there was this rotation presidency of the European Union, the European Summit took place in each country. I remember a European Summit be held here in Budapest. This is no more possible now. Now all the summits are concentrated in Brussels. So the centralization of the European Union has started there to be reinforced. And then we come, of course, later in 2005 by the Lisbon Treaty. And Lisbon Treaty, the worst, in my view, is the politicization of a European Commission with this principle of Spitzencandidate that makes that one party, because he has 2 or 3 or 5 more seats than the other in the European Parliament, they designate the president of the Commission. And you can see that now it becomes that the president of the European Council was also decided in the Lisbon Treaty to have this new position, will be another political person. And then you have also a third political person in the European Parliament. So now we have a liberal, political body at the head of the European Union institution, which is very politicized, and who has, as you see, a clear direction. You can see, I think it's unacceptable, could be unacceptable for the founder father to see a European Commission, a European institution, to the interfering in national election of one country, as they are doing with Hungary, supporting the opposition, as they are doing in Poland, supporting clearly the opposition. I can see even some president of European institutions supporting the protest in the street of Warsaw or in Krakow against the government, supported by the European Union, with the European Union delegation there supporting the protesters. We are totally changed from the initial idea. And I will add, just for you to know, but in this Lisbon Treaty, you have also one point which I think is very, very severe, very serious, is that the Lisbon Treaty, unfortunately, has authorized the European Commission to act by what they call delegated act. That means that the Parliament, the Council decide, for example, on the Green Deal, they decide on very large principles, but to all the way to implement it is no longer controlled by the Parliament, no longer controlled by the government, no longer controlled by the citizen. It's the bureaucrat with what they call delegated act. We call that décret in French. They can decide, and they can decide influenced by nobody knows who. And then, for example, with the taxonomy, with the Green Deal, they will decide on our day-to-day life, over there of the small shopkeepers, on the reparation of cars, reparation of machines, all kinds of activities. If you get green points or bad points, you will get easy access to finance or not. This will decide by bureaucrats. And we just finished by my last point, is that what you see today is that this politicized European Commission is driven by bureaucrats. These bureaucrats, it's a kind of elite, and they are, of course, very sensible to the new, I would say, trendy fashions of the world, the work culture, and coming from the US, from the Frankfurt School, which was very well explained this morning. And these bureaucrats, they are influenced by whom? They are influenced by the lobby, and by the most powerful lobby, all the NGOs, international NGOs, and who finance them, and also some big companies, big interest. And no more, and I will end by that, no more with what we call the civil society that you represent. I was president, as you know, of the European Economic and Social Committee, and I'm happy that one of my new colleagues, a member from Italy, is there in our meeting. But we exist, we got some money, maybe too much, but we exist, but we are not listened. They don't listen to us. They don't listen to the trade unions, they don't listen to the business, or not so the business association, they just listen to the lobby. The lobby has become the more predominant, I would say, activists in the European Union. Lobby and bureaucrats are ruling the European Union. So I will say to the end, so we have, of course, to change it drastically, as with the ID Foundation, who present that manifesto, Mr. Juvin had presented. But this should come, as Mr. Titsmedia say, we should come from the roots. We should change, we should reverse. It should not be a European Union roll out from the top, it should be rolled from the bottom. So thank you very much, and we will be with you for this very important initiative. Merci, köszönöm.